In this morning's Business Insight, workplace harassment. Every day it seems new allegations are being made and no industry is immune. So what can companies do to prepare for the spotlight and prevent issues in the future? Kathleen Snyder is the Director of Client Relations for Strategic HR Inc. For almost 20 years, Snyder has been assisting companies with workplace harassment issues and advocating for a proactive approach in creating a positive culture to help avoid harassment issues. She's in the studio this morning with Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith. Kathleen and Jamie.
Thanks, Kelly. Kathleen, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure. Good morning.
So as Kelly talks about this, what should companies be preparing to do to be able to handle this type of liability from workplace harassment?
There's a number of different things that companies can be looking at. One of the things is prepare yourself, as she stated. So for the company itself, have a policy in place, and the policy needs to include some specific areas as well. It needs to establish a zero tolerance. It needs to provide some examples of what is harassment, what are some types of behaviors and things that might constitute harassment. The thing to understand is we're hearing so much about sexual harassment. There's actually a number of different protected classes that should be covered in that policy as well. So looking at it from a holistic approach, it should also have established a complaint procedure. So if an employee or someone in the company feels that they are the object of harassment, what do they do? In that complaint procedure, they should establish two different people that they can go to. A lot of times you'll say, go to your supervisor. Well, what if it's your supervisor that's harassing you? You really need to have multiple people that you can go to that they can report it. And that gives you a good leg to stand on. So it starts with the policy. Conduct training. Have it be interactive, have it be so that employees can contribute to that training and things. A lot of times a company will use a video. I had a company I was working with one time that their harassment video was literally 4 minutes. That's not enough. And especially with the current climate, the recommendation is make it be live training. Have it be able to be interactive so that employees can contribute to it. It has more impact that way. And those are some of the things, having that policy, having that complaint procedure, doing the interactive training. So that's kind of on the preventative approach. So
I was going to say, that's all great.
It is.
What can we do proactively so we don't have to worry about this afterwards?
Exactly, and that's the other piece of it that sometimes companies miss. And you've got to take care of the day-to-day. So having just creating a positive environment, creating an environment where employees are valued and feel respected and they feel like they're contributing, all of those things. When you take care of that day to day and people have good positive relationships and maybe they can have a little fun at work, but doing it in the right way, all of those things can contribute to a better work environment. And when you've got that good work environment to start with, these other big issues don't come up as much, or if there is a misstep, it's much easier to deal with because you've done your groundwork to start with.
Well, we even talked off the screen before about like comments, like making comments, I love your jacket or I love your tie. That's okay, right? I can say that?
And this question has come up so often in the past few weeks. If you have taken care of your day-to-day, you have great relationships with people and people feel respected, I can say, wow, Jamie, I love that tie, it's a great color. And it is what it is. It's an innocuous comment, it's a compliment. When you have an environment where people question that, when you have an environment that has some of those sexual undertones, or people feel less than respected, that comment takes on a whole other meaning. And no, it might not necessarily be appropriate. So it really does, it's culture is really what it boils down to.
I think we have time for one more question. Sure. Who in the firm should be responsible? I mean, CEO, HR director, I mean, obviously companies are different sizes, different makeups. Who's in charge? There
can be a hierarchy of things, but quite frankly, every single person in that company needs to be responsible and take ownership for your culture. A lot of times as I mentioned, I've been doing this for almost 20 years in the investigations that we run into. I can probably count on one hand the number of times an employee who is accused of harassment really, truly, maliciously, deliberately wanted to make somebody's life miserable. It's more about they just didn't stop and think how what they're doing affects somebody else. So it really does, yes, HR is going to help with the policy and help with some enforcement, and yes, supervisors and things have to be aware. And absolutely, that positive culture I'm talking about has to come from the very top. But it also boils down to each and every employee every single day being respectful, treating people well, treating people professional. all of those things. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's everybody.
Well, I've always given my managers that advice that when someone comes to you with a complaint, it's not you can't judge what they're saying is harassment or not. You have to take it seriously.
The worst thing you can possibly do is ignore it. Even if it sounds like, and sometimes it's your problem employee, it's the one that you hear about pretty often, and I mean, but regardless of who that complaint's coming from, it's not your place as the supervisor to say, yeah, no, you got to be kidding me. You've got to take it seriously, bring it to somebody's attention, bring it to HR, if you have someone in an HR role or who handles those duties and things. Not every company has HR, but bring it to whoever handles the employee type issues and at least look into it, and you've got to give it some credence. The worst thing you can possibly do is ignore it.
Gotta go. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
Obviously a topic we need to be aware of.
It is. I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
All right, thanks.